I was up a bit early today, went down to Starbucks, got Amy a coffee. Kids are still asleep. Can't run with the big dog. I was going to make you a video last night, but I did want to see JK Victory race, so by the time he'd raced, the lighting is poor and I'm tired, and we were literally just pulling into Macedonia from Pennsylvania. So I just opted to wake up fresh and make you one today. I'm on my way to the barn now. We get the 3 Colts training Monday. I want to go with Sweeney, make sure everything's all right with him. He's got the outside post, and they give him no love with the morning line 8-1. But unless there's going to be a whole bunch of horses stay trotting going into the first turn, which isn't generally the case, first grassroots event of the season, there's usually some breakers. And I would be shocked if he was one of them, since he hasn't made a break in a very long time. Don't mean to jinx him, but he's been very handy at the gate, in the hole. He's been doing his work very well. So I want to make sure that all systems are go this morning. Not a fast mile by any means, but just a slow mile. Jason's going to work out Gypsy Hill. Also today, I like the fact that I can scroll down and look at this now. Wait, no, that was July the 3rd. That was yesterday. That was there. There is Sunday and Monday. Prince Charmer. He trained great the other day. Prince Charmer trained really good. So did Sweeney. And so did Sweeney and Gypsy Hill. You're not going to have any issues with them, I don't think, on Monday. Now, looking back on yesterday, we started off the day with the qualifiers. I was happy with Time Is On My Side. I think I'm going to bring him over here. I'm even toying with the idea of racing him in the second leg of the pop-up series next Friday. No guarantees. No guarantees. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. James said he was good, but he said, I think there's a good... This is what James had said. I think there's a very good horse in there. I just don't know if you're going to see it right away. This is almost verbatim. The entire conversation, the entire body of our conversation yesterday regarding the qualifiers, and more particularly Time Is On My Side, was almost identical to 3 Point Blue Chip 2 years ago. James always wants to baby them and keep them nice and quiet. And he was worried that 3 Point Blue Chip would get over here and we'd be a little rough on him and it'd sour him up, which, sorry, I don't believe in that. I shouldn't say I don't believe in that. Of course I believe in it, but there is work also. And I think having Time Is On My Side here, I guess not particularly here for now, where I can get a close eye on him and see what we're going to do with him. Here's our paths with Time Is On My Side. Take our time and let him blossom into a horse as a 2-year-old as is, which is very plausible. Turn him out for the fall/winter /2024, or castrate him and turn him out. All 3 paths are still well lit. He can go down any one of them. And I'm not disappointed with the colt. I think when he went much faster fractions than he's used to, and then he clears off the lead, lots of horses. In fact, I would say the majority of horses would kind of go to sleep a little bit. And then that horse kind of snuck up the inside and picked him off. So nothing he did yesterday was deeply upsetting. I was happy with the trip. Of course, I want to see him going to the wire wrapped up, the bit just pulling through his mouth in 54. Sure, I want to see that. But he's just not there yet. And J-Port Beach Boy, I think J-Port Beach Boy is a nice horse that hasn't decided if he wants to be a good horse yet. And I had told one of our clients, Jason, that. He said, I briefly mentioned, he said, I wish Jonathan had pulled him out of the 2-hole last week. I said, no, you don't. J-Port Beach Boy doesn't have that killer instinct yet. Got a nice gait. He's got a good family. And hopefully we can foster that into a decent horse. But that will be ultimately up to him. He'll race next Friday. I think it's next Friday, the grassroots. Jonathan's been doing a good job with him, so I suspect he'll stay on him. Today is the day I start moving the horses around. Now, Great Bet was a winner. He looked good. You want to talk about a horse that looked ordinary to bad all winter. And then, both physically, like optically, and looking at him on the track, but also in the stall, in the barn, just kind of looked down in the dumps all the time. It was weird. It was a weird thing. And I vividly remember having the conversation with a number of the caretakers and with Danny and James and anybody that was ever around Great Bet. And they said, oh, he just doesn't look good. And I said, you know what? He's an athlete. We're going to train him to look good. And we're going to keep working him and working him and working him and working him until he comes around. And that's exactly what we did. And man, did he look good last night. I literally got a text from Daryl Thiessen after the race saying, thanks for the work. I appreciate it. Horse was awesome. What a great attitude. Excuse me? Where'd this attitude come from? Because he had a bad attitude his whole life. It's funny how horses are though, right? He got to the qualifiers last week, realized that he was actually pretty good at it, and started to like his work. And that is what I'm getting to when it comes to a horse. Even like Time is on my side, even though he doesn't have a bad attitude, he needs to get to that point where he's fluid, he's comfortable, and he can use everything that God gave him. And that'll come. I believe it will. I don't know. There's no reason why it wouldn't. In fact, I would say there's a better chance than not that it does. J-Port Beach Boy just needs to do more work. That's all. He'll be fine. And then Drebin in the last qualifier didn't bleed yesterday. So I'm really torn on this. You know, there's a large voice in me that says put this horse on Lasix right now. But he's a 2-year-old. He's just starting out. I have to believe that at least we owe it to him to not just take, I guess, I almost said the easy way out, but I don't think it's the easy way out. Well, yeah, it is the easy way out, but I don't know if it's the right term for what he's going through. The easy thing to do would be put him on Lasix, but he's a young horse. Is it not? Is this not something we can treat forward, around, through? I want to believe yes. So we're going to race him next week off of Lasix. We opted out of the Lasix program. We are going to race him next week off of Lasix and see how he is. Now, the problem with that, as you can imagine, so for those of you who don't know, when you enter the Lasix program, it's 14 days. If we race him next week and he does show a little blood, it could jeopardize him racing in the Millard Farms race. Now, there's no cakewalk. It's not like, oh my God, we're going to be scratching the 8-5 favorite. No. This is a good learning experience for him, this stake race, but we would be jeopardizing him being able to race in it if he bleeds next week. I guess the overarching, the underpinning of all this is that he is a baby. And if he misses the Millard Farms, he misses the Millard Farms. We can bring him over here, put him on Lasix, race him here. We have options. And that's the one thing I think everybody has to understand. You know, Marco and I had a great conversation last week and this week about insider trading. And how I told him, very, very good horse, but, you know, it doesn't, James is right in the sense that it doesn't take a whole lot to really kink or even ruin, I suppose, a young horse, right? We're hard on them, we're rough on them, we want them to do their work, I want them in a position to do it, but when push comes to shove, I also want them to learn to do it right. And no, it is not the same way as, James. We got a new girl at security gate. It is not the same way as James, but there's nothing wrong with that. As I say to James, and I say to everybody all the time, there's a million ways to train a horse. It's just, this isn't kindergarten. And that is how I feel about it. I think they're here now. We've put all the work into them. But at the same time, in a particular instance like insider trading, right? You saw how I drove her yesterday, kept her kind of quiet. You know I hate gapping off cover in a training mile or a race, but when you're right on a helmet, they're on their toes a little bit more, right? They're ready to attack, and I did not want to see that from insider trading yesterday. I knew that Flash Fly could get everything her own way, and if I was close to her at the head of the lane, I could just outsprint her, right? Because I know Flash Fly. Nice filly. Take nothing away from her. She's a very good horse, but sprinting on the end of it, she's not used to, right? She hasn't been on the front that many times in her life. So she's not really a sprinter, per se. So I knew when I moved her in the last turn, I know how quick insider trading is on her feet. I knew she was probably going to be a winner. But I didn't want to get her wound up. I didn't want to have her make a break. I didn't want to have her hot, because that compounds, right? Then you win your next race, and she has that last race in her head, and she's a little bit warm and a little bit warm. Before you know it, cheap speed. And that can happen quite quickly. So in that regard, I absolutely I absolutely agree with James. I just disagree with the way we go about doing it in a minor way. So, very happy with, I was happy with Time Is On My Side. I like what I see. I would like to see a little bit more, but I think there's a lot more there to see. How we get there, I think there's a number of ways to do it. I think step one will be bringing him over here, putting him in a racing setting, and see what happens. I'm watching that pop-up series very closely today. I don't want to see any of them going 53 or 52. If they do, then we'll probably just forego them and look for a 2-year-old maiden in a week or so with him. Management is going to be important with him moving forward. We don't want to discourage him by trying to chase horses that are just faster than him right now. Because although he may know it, he may not know it. He'll catch up to them later on, but it's not always that easy. You can't explain that to a young horse. So let's get to it. Let's get to what took place yesterday. I said the qualifiers were good. I was happy with Drebin. Also, good qualifier from him. So the qualifiers were good. We got into the racing. I thought Flashfly and Insider Trading warmed up well. They looked good. Obviously, the half that popped up in the race was incorrect, 57-2. I figured it was around 1-1 apiece. A very, very good mile for our horses. I was really impressed with both of them. You know what I like? The fact that Flashfly is now quiet at the gate and you can let her trot out of there. That's important. Very, very important. And I really am surprised that she picked it up that quick. She's not screaming off the car, which is also good. You don't want her hot coming out of there. Now, I know that Hunter tapped her on the tail going out of there, which is good. That means she's just assessing the situation. She's not getting too hot. She sat in the hole last week. She was very behaved. I love what I see from Flashfly so far. And she'll be going into the Stallion Series, her first start in Philadelphia, and I'm excited to see what she can do. Also, you know what bothered me? They put the second leg of the pop-up series next Friday. Not only is that too close, Friday to Wednesday, but it's a trap also. Because now there's a rule in Pennsylvania, you can't race your stake horses. Now, maybe all your horses, but definitely your stake horses back in 5 days. We ran into this with with Insider Trading in her qualifier, which I think is a dumb rule. It's an added money event. If I'm qualified before the box, I should be able to race in that event. And I don't even know that rule is legal. I don't even know that they can do that. You know, if I'm qualified before an event, an added money event, I should be able to race in it. But nevertheless, there is a rule in Pennsylvania, so we can't race Friday back Wednesday, even if we wanted to. I don't know why they would put the pop-up series on a Friday. If you're that worried about it, put it on Thursday. Give everybody 6 days. Go back in 6 days. Who's going to care? You're going to have, what, 1, 2 pop-up divisions? Put them on the same day as the Colts. I just don't think it was very well thought through. And I don't even know if they'll be able to fill that pop-up series next week now because of that. Maybe they will. I don't know. So, Flashfly I thought was great. Insider Trading was very good. I liked how she was relaxed. When I moved her in the last turn, she still didn't just come screaming at her. I had her well in hand when we came out of the turn. I don't even know if she got up into top gear, to be honest. And that's taking nothing away from Flashfly. Flashfly, if you remember training down, was never on the front. Ever. But I love the fact that she's doing her work and doing it well. Now, to ask her to sprint really, really hard on the end of it, she will learn to do that. Both these fillies had earplugs in and an ear hood. Very, very, very quiet yesterday. So I was happy with both of them. The surprise, I think, of the day was Southwind Digit. A couple of my partners messaged me and said, does that change your status as being sold? Very likely could. I can assure you of one thing. It's changed her from being up for sale to demanding a seller's price. That's what it's done. So if you're out there saying, geez, I could pick this Digit filly up, we're not giving her away, right? She's a big, strong filly. And just because I didn't think she was a killer starting out, and I didn't think that she had a super bright future, I thought she was going to be a filly that's in the mix. A decent filly. She came first over, and I know they only come 30 seconds, but she ran down that leader and looked good doing it. So it would be fairly hard for me to discount that and say, you know what, I'm going to get rid of this horse because she's not good when she's been first and second. And coming first over and winning a race is not an easy thing to do for a horse. You have to want it. They're not giving any of those races away, and you have to want to be a winner. So she definitely impressed me yesterday. I thought she was very, very good. Now, she was not going to the winner's circle if Pull the Shoes hadn't caught a boot. And to be fair, that wasn't Pull the Shoes' fault. If you go back and watch the race, go back to the point right before she makes a break and watch her head drop. What had happened was she reached up and grabbed her bell boot. It'll happen. sometimes. It's not often, but it'll happen. She grabbed her bell boot, dropped her head check caught her. She made the break, but what I liked the most was she recovered quickly and then tried to run those horses down the lane. She is almost one of our most competitive horses. I love that filly. You know, she's not built perfect. She does touch a knee. That's why I'm very careful with her at the gate, because what will happen is if you're going to let the horses trot out quietly, that's great. But if they get hot and they go to trot forward, which I know she could do, and they touch a knee, then they get even more hot. Then they'll touch their knee again, and you can tell where that's going to lead. It's going to lead in a break. And that's a habit you do not want to get them into. So I'd rather let her just stay quiet at the gate for now. So I have had her back off the gate with no concerns. I mean, she was a winner yesterday if she doesn't run. There's no two ways about that. But, you know, those things happen. And really, there's nothing you do. Usually if the boots are hanging down a little bit, if they're a little low, you'd like to trim them up. But hers weren't. Tim's crew had the right boots on the filly. And she just grabbed it and snagged it. You could see the little hole in it, I think, but you can definitely see it. If you go back and watch the video, you can see exactly what happened. So she raced great. Gidget was the surprise of the night. I was very impressed with what she did and how she did it. Now, that doesn't mean we're not selling her, but it does mean we're not giving her away. Now, I'm not going to say this is what we want for her, but I can tell you this much. She is a nice Stallion Series filly that is honest. You can leave, sit in, obviously come first over. She's the handiest kind of sort of horse. And looking at all of our 2-year-old fillies in that division, she is the most solid filly. She won't break. And again, I don't want to jinx her, but she usually won't break. So a solid 2-year-old individual. I was impressed with her mile yesterday. It does change my thinking of her. It doesn't mean that we won't sell her, but we are going to demand a seller's price for Southwind Digit. Now, Watch Your Mouth. I thought a great start to his career. 55-4, 27-4 in the end of it. Ran in a little bit coming out of the last turn. But man, I thought the horse looked very, very, very good. Really impressed with Watch Your Mouth yesterday in Ontario. I know that John, a lot of people asking, why isn't that a stable horse out? Who's John Evans? John Evans is a good friend, probably one of our bigger owners. And him and his father owned Don't Believe Me, Just Watch. The majority of Don't Believe Me, Just Watch. When we first bought him, all the way up to when we sold him. And John's father had passed away, and he had an opportunity to buy Watch Your Mouth. And, you know, I remembered perfectly. I was pulling into a ball tournament with Ollie when Tom Riley called me and said, you know, well, we have this colt for sale. It was just bad timing for me. I think we were right up against the sales themselves. I didn't have a lot of room to be going out and buying a horse like this. It just that particular day wasn't good timing. So I thought about it, and I just passed the message on to John Evans and said, hey, if you're interested, this is Peanut's brother. You know, we got a whole bunch of other stuff going on right now. It's just not great timing for me. And John had purchased the colt. So great to see him train down and do well for John, and for Tommy also. You know, Tommy also, who is the breeder of the horse. So hopefully he can come on and be a really, really nice horse for John in the grassroots this summer. And for the stable, regardless if he's not a stable horse at all, he is in the stable. He is one of our horses, and John is absolutely one of our clients and one of your partners, more than likely, on a horse that you have. So good luck to him all summer long. Now, the only disappointment on the night, I suppose, was Stonebridge Acadi a little bit. This horse feels like he's bleeding a bit, but every time we scope him, there's nothing there. And, you know, he's had 20 starts this year. He's done pretty good, but I think he's gone pretty near as far as we need him to go right now, and I think he will be sold on Monday. You know, again, useful horse. Sound, can race on any size track. The type of horse a lot of people would be interested in. The type of horse that we would be buying if he wasn't ours. But just with his starts and his background and everything else, is not... The class here at Northfield right now is a little salty for him. That other one. The one yesterday. Now, there's a different class for him at the Meadows, but that one there was a little salty yesterday also. 54. I just think that we're going to continue to look for numbers, 1 numbers, 2 trotters, race our stake horses, buy some more high-end horses, and then let our sophomores fill those spots up that a horse like Stonebridge Acadi would have had. So he's going to be sold on Monday. Great Bet was very, very impressive yesterday. Happy to get the report from Daryl. Happy to watch the race. I thought the horse raced very, very well yesterday. Yo, Mister, I know that... not really his cup of tea, right? And just a position that Brett was in, there's nothing he could do from the rail. He opted to move back to the front, and then the other horse jumped on him, and that was a good horse jogging into the bank. That horse has been a very good horse since I've been around here. So no slouch in that regard in any way. I thought that Yo Mister raced very good, held tough to be second in 53. One of the more gratifying miles of the entire day, aside from the fillies, which are always gratifying, is Horn Player. First start life without the hobbles on. I know we tried to qualify her once and she run. Was very careful with her, and she was charging at the wire. I've never seen her do that. I don't think I've ever seen her do that. Seen her make a break and catch up and show mathematically a fast last quarter, 3/8 half, but I've never seen her be in the pack and then charge at them finishing up. She was awesome yesterday. And for all our clients out there that held on to her, and we kept her because we know what she's worth as a broodmare. I think I know what she's worth as a broodmare, but as a racehorse, that I think it's fair to say that's the best race she's ever gone. I know she won the race at Mohawk, but that was in a watered-down maiden, nominals a 2 spring type thing. Crossed over to the front and just kind of did her work and held on. Last night she showed a lot of versatility, and I think it's even going to be compounded even more. I think you're going to see this filly get better and better and better over the next little while, and I cannot wait. Shavings all over me here. I cannot wait to see what she is going to do in the near future. I thought she just looked awesome yesterday. And then JK Victory, another good race. Hadn't raced in 2 weeks, so a little bit short. You could see it down by the wire. He just got picked off for third, but 49-1. It looked like he was struggling a bit in the last turn, and then all of a sudden came back to life down the lane. Those are some good horses that he was racing against. Very, very good horses. So certainly no issue with the way he raced last night. Just got picked off for third. He must have paced 49-4 again, but again off 2 weeks. I think you see just that little tiny bit of shortness. You can train them up all you want. They're going to be a little bit short, and obviously, to me, obviously he was just a hair last night, but still raced very, very good. And those are really good aged horses that he was in against. So a great day yesterday. It's been a pretty good run. It's not like we have been winning our races. It just felt like the stake races, we were a lot of bridesmaid type of situation, second, third, fourth, but always, punching the register, so to speak. And I was happy with what I've seen from the horses so far. I mean, Amy and I were going through, Facebook where it shows the races from the week. I mean, starting from July the 1st, Pull the Shoes was second, Digit was second, Flash Fly was second, Venice Blue Chip. Those horses all got checks in the next generation races. Crantini was second in the pouring rain. A lot of people dumping their shares. Keep dumping those shares, and I hope everybody keeps picking them up because, he was second in a Stallion Series. Everybody's like, oh, he could have went to the Zwag. There was 0% chance I was going anywhere near the Zwag with Crantini. I was happy. One qualifier and one race in a row, he was good. Let him grow on that. He was really good the other day, and we already know he's a good horse. So mentally, if we can get him moving back in the right direction, the sky's the limit for him for sure. Atlas was the easiest kind of winner. He's going to be in next week at Mohawk. My 1% is in tonight. He jogged last week. Then we had the Colts in Plainridge, or not Plainridge, Poconos, Memory and Imagination, Picaro, Lonely, Lakewood. I'm looking at a ton of winners. This is going to be my opening video, so I don't want to give it all away, but we've had a pretty good run so far, and I've been very, very excited with what I've seen. Now, in today's menu, who do we have? We have Warwi Yuri is going to be racing in the Prospect, as is my 1%. I'm Fancy Like, Venice Blue Chip, Born to Dance down in Scioto. J.K. Mickey Mantle is racing tonight. This will be an interesting race. I want to see what he's all about. We may have to move him somewhere, and that's on Harry. He was the one that told me that. We may have to move him somewhere. There's not a lot to race him in right now at Mohawk, but is there somewhere else? Probably. We just have to find the right spot for him. How the Hell's back at it in Georgian. Kind of wanted to race him Tuesday, but I'm torn. I want to get him some good starts, but I want him to, for him to come to Mohawk and race on Tuesday, it's unfair to him. right? Because he's going to have to trot 53, 54 right now. Whereas if he goes to Georgian, he doesn't have to trot as fast, but he does have to trot. So Steve Byron, an old campaigner, sorry Steve, but you're old. He's going to drive him tonight, and I think it'll be a good match for both of those both horse and driver for How the Hell and Steve Byron. Looks like money, big race tonight at the Meadowlands. He's got a pretty good shot, I think. White Tiger's in pretty cheap at Georgian. We wanted to get an easier race for him, purse-wise, so that he fits at horses that race for a purse of less than whatever at Mohawk, because every week it seems like he has to move up and move up and move up for no reason. This will keep him anchored in a lower classification. And then No Free Lunch again. Does he have to move somewhere? As I said to Harry, he's got like 30,000 made last 5 or 6. So it's not that easy. Just say, we're just going to move him here. We're going to move him there. It's not that easy. So what are we going to do with No Free Lunch? I know that James likes the horse. And if we can keep him in Ontario, I'd like to keep him there. That's my first preference for him. But we'll see how today plays out for No Free Lunch. A lot of other stuff going on this weekend. The only bad news is Really Don't Care is scratched on Sunday. She was sick all week, I guess. Starting to get over it now, but not nearly enough to put her on a truck. She would have to go from Megan's to Mark Beckwith and Melissa Beckwith this week, and she just didn't go. I said, if she's sick, she's not going. Theoretically, she would have to get on a truck, ship down to Saratoga, prep for the race, knowing that she was sick this week. That would be completely unfair to the filly. So she is not going to race on Sunday. She just stayed at Megan's rather than going down to the Beckwiths. Sedona Hill, excited to race her. Purple People Eater, Irresistible Sun. Just lots coming up. Lots and lots of racing coming up. I'm having a great summer. I hope you guys have. Been a really hectic start to July, but it's coming to a slow point now. Amy and the kids are going home tomorrow. I'm going to race Sunday, Monday, go home and qualify some horses Tuesday. Wednesday, nowhere on Wednesday. So with that, I'll let you guys go. I hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend, because I am. Take care.